Welcome to the Prophecy Club. We're going to continue talking with C.K. Quarterman today. He's written 2 books, and he's about to make 2 brand new DVDs with the Prophecy Club. The first one will be recorded Saturday evening, April 13th. Doors open at 6. He'll speak from 7 to 10:30 on Genesis, Secrets, and the End Times. Then Sunday morning, April 14th, from 9:30 to noon, he's going to be talking on fallen angels, giants, UFOs, and prophecy. Very interesting information, and I highly recommend you attend. If you can't attend, be sure and get the DVDs. Matter of fact, if you attend, you may want to get the DVDs also. He also has a couple of books, Genesis Secrets Revealed and Fallen Angels, Giants, UFO Encounters in the New World Order. You can get both DVDs and both books, all 4 of them, valued at like $100 or something like that, figured up, all for a gift of just $60 or more. That's 2 DVDs and 2 books, all for a gift of $60. C.K. Quarterman, welcome back to the Prophecy Club.
Thank you, Stan. Glad to be here. We're going to talk about stargates, portals, orbs, and fallen angels. In some witchcraft and Wiccan systems, they refer to watchers, and they're beings who guard portals that link other worlds together. So the idea of portals and stargates goes back to ancient races and deities. The Italians referred to the watchers as gregi, and we get the name watchers as just as it's spelled, just as it sounds from the book of Daniel, where an angel is called a watcher. In ancient times, angels were referred to as watchers, and they were given charge over the earth to watch it. Now, one of the best known examples of a stargate that we might have is Jacob's ladder. Remember, Jacob saw an opening, and pretty colorful explanation there in Genesis where he saw angels coming up and going down this ladder. Well, how would you describe a stargate or a portal if you didn't have any means by which to describe it? You'd probably call it a ladder. Well, this ladder would open up, of course, to the spiritual dimension of heaven where these angels were coming from. Now, this has happened in ancient times and is beginning to happen again today. And even among some fringe Christian groups, they're going up on top of mountains and looking to find openings or portals or even looking for orbs. And orbs are certainly demonic. I'd stay away from anything that looks like an orb. And I've got a fellow I talked to the other day who is building in his backyard, and it's just incredible that a Christian would even consider something like this, but building in his backyard a doorway and painting it with Hebrew symbols, and this is going to be his portal, his doorway. And I asked him, I said, well, aren't you concerned about what might step out of this doorway? And he says, oh no, only God can step out of this doorway. Well, I'm sorry. If you open up or are able to open up some kind of portal to the spiritual dimension, I don't know how you could simply say only God can step out of it. I'm afraid he might be confronted by things other than God.
Are you familiar with the movie called Hellboy?
I believe I have seen that.
In the movie Hellboy, it is specifically talking about how they have this rotating ring within a ring, and these 2 rotating rings spinning around at opposite directions, opposite angles, and it creates an opening that looks like water, and then something comes out of that opening. Now, there's a fellow on the internet, and I have tried to get a hold of him. By the way, if any of you can get a hold of him, I would love to talk to him, because if he qualifies, I might even have him as a speaker at the Prophecy Club. But this guy claims this was his story. He said, as a young child, I was extremely intelligent and had some amazing gifts. And so my dad contacted the government because he thought he might be able to help the government. And he was part of 240 other children that were part of an experiment. And he says he actually got to go through time on a Tesla time machine. He says they are real. Now, I'd love to be able to talk to him, love to be able to prove what I'm about to say here. But this ties together with what you're saying. And he says that it kind of looked like this real-time machine you see in the movies where it had an umbrella back behind him. And he said it looked like a wall of water. He said you did go through this, what looked like a tunnel of light. And appeared this other place. He said that actually a photograph was taken him at the Gettysburg Address. They told him don't get any more photographs when you're in these different places, but they said that it could go to other planets and everything. Now, here's my question. I think that these portals that they're talking about opening up could be opening up because the Bible says the beast ascendeth out of the bottomless pit. So something from another world comes into this world, and that is the beast.
Portals, in a way, are nothing new as well. Psalms talks about, there's a statement that in Psalms that's pretty interesting. I'd like to read it to you. We don't normally think about angels or even God opening a portal and coming into our world, but angels do the same thing. In Psalms it mentions, then the earth shook and trembled, the foundations also of the hills moved and were shaken. There went up a smoke out of God's nostrils, and fire out of his mouth devoured. Coals were kindled by it. He bowed the heavens also and came down, and darkness was under his feet. He made darkness his secret place. His pavilion round about him was dark waters and thick clouds of the skies. Now, we also see that hailstones, thunder, lightning, sparks, all kinds of physical manifestations when angels and sometimes when UFOs come into this dimension. So UFOs also fit the criteria of something, either a fallen angel or some type of technology that they've created when it comes into this dimension. You see all those kinds of phenomena that takes place. The thing that I think is dangerous about it is that people attempting to do these things. In my mind, the Tower of Babel was a structure that was built to open up a portal to the spiritual dimension to allow fallen angels back into this dimension.
I agree. It says that they would build a tower unto heaven. Okay, now they weren't trying to build the tallest building, as many people misunderstand. What they were doing, it says that they would burn the brick thoroughly. And I think that they were taking this brick and burning it and basically making crystals. So they were making a crystal tower, a giant crystal, so that they could talk to entities in other realms. Yes, because that was the whole purpose of the breastplate. It had the 12 stones on it, and they were to wear the high priest was to wear that breastplate when he went into the Holy of Holies, and God spoke to him through that breastplate. Now, we do know that a crystal used to be used, matter of fact, it's still used on radios today, but a crystal can take a higher frequency and lower it down to a lower frequency. So essentially, they were trying to build a giant radio, not to communicate to someone else that has a radio, but to communicate to demons or fallen angels, in my opinion.
Yes, and an interesting thing also about portals is that when they activate, and you see this around UFOs quite often, is that time is sort of suspended. And you'll find that when people have these UFO encounters, that their watches will stop. They lose track of time. It's a very interesting phenomenon. It's when the spiritual realm comes into contact with our realm, often there are vortexes, clouds, hazes that appear. You'll see this on some paranormal shows. And what they're doing, they're opening up portals. And you mentioned the Large Hadron Collider. This could actually be what's taking place here. Our governments could be actually attempting to create some kind of event horizon or portal into other realms, which we know to be the spiritual realm.
Well, let me say something about the Hadron Collider because I made a DVD on that. It's housed in a 17-mile tunnel, 575 feet below ground. At a cost of $10 billion, that's 10 zeros there, okay, financed by 33 countries using 10,000 scientists from 100 different countries. They say it's some 50% of all particle physicists in the world. 608 universities and 113 nationalities have worked together on this. It uses 1,600 superconducting magnets. 8 sectors operate at 1.9 degrees above absolute zero. They actually create a clockwise and a counterclockwise circulating plasma beam that slams into each other, and they say that they're trying to make a man-made particle collision, or a Higgs boson is what they call it, or a God particle. They're trying to discover the moment of creation. And I say to that, baloney. I don't think that's what they're trying to do. I think all of that is a cover story. I think what they're trying to do is create a Stargate, because as I look at the Bible, it says the beast ascendeth out of the bottomless pit. It also says a crack comes in the earth. Now, that could be a physical crack, or it could be at the LHC, the Large Hadron Collider located at CERN. And that's short for, in my opinion, it's short for Cernunnos, which is a half man, half beast. Okay, and we know that this Antichrist, this beast, comes up out of the bottomless pit. We also know that there's a crack comes to the earth, and out of that crack comes beasts that have a tail like a serpent and a sting like a scorpion, and they sting men for 5 months. They desire to die, but they can't die. So these people think that the end times are here. Yes, they are here. But is the tribulation ready to start? No. Is Jesus ready to return? No. There's too many things to be fulfilled. I think that they're trying to create a Stargate, or a wormhole, or a black hole, something that's going to let in something from another realm into this world.
Well, I think it goes, like I said, back to the Tower of Babel. It's something that men have always been inclined to do, that they wanted to do, and even fringe groups of Christians now are trying to do. One of the questions that we can ask ourselves is, what has possibly walked out of portals, Stargates, in the past? Well, we mentioned earlier in some of our other broadcasts that...
We'll be right back after this message. The next speaker at the Prophecy Club is C.K. Quarterman, speaking on Genesis Secrets in the End Times. C.K. is a published author. He is the author of Genesis Secrets Revealed and Fallen Angels, Giants, UFO Encounters in the New World Order. When he speaks, his topics will be what Elohim does next, ancient high technology, firmament and the sea of glass, sons of God and the Nephilim, Noah's genetic code, Stargates, and the Tower of Babel. Saturday, April 13th, 7 to 10:30. Then Fallen Angels, Giants, and UFOs and Prophecy. Topics will be End Times and Noah, Gap Creationism, Sons of God Mating Today, Giants Again, Unseen Elite Controllers, Genetics of the Antichrist, Origins of Demons, UFOs, Genesis to Revelation, The New World Order Plan, and that's Sunday, April the 14th, 9:30 to noon at the Prophecy Club, 2540 Avenue K in Plano. That's on the corner of Park and K behind the Whataburger. Saturday, April 13th, 7 p.m., Sunday, April 14th at 9:30 a.m. See you there! And now, back to the program.
Well, we've mentioned earlier in some of our other broadcasts that, about fallen angels. Fallen angels look like people. They're called men in the Bible. They eat. Abraham saw them. They went into Sodom and brought Lot out of them, but they were called and thought of as men. They were able, in Genesis, the 6th chapter, to reproduce with humans. So we know their DNA, their genetic structure is very similar to humanity's, although different. So we might speculate, are there fallen angels among us today? Well, yes, I think they are. I think they have been all through history. Good example of one that I've thought of here recently. Most people have not stopped to wonder, where did Hitler come from? You realize Hitler has no genealogy. You can't go back and tell who Hitler's great-great-grandfather was. Came on the scene out of nowhere. And to this day, we can't prove where his body is.
Yeah, that's true. I have long thought he didn't really die at the end of World War II, as we were told.
No, I don't think so. I think he was a fallen angel. I think fallen angels look like men, they act like men, they eat, but they're terribly evil. Stalin was actually the same way. He came out of nowhere. There's no genealogy for Stalin.
Oh, really?
No, but now, of course, there's supposedly a body, but how do we know that that's really Stalin?
Well, we had Augusto Perez in, and he said he was shown in a vision. He was taken and allowed to listen to a group of like 3 or 4 men talking, and he was shown that these were extremely intelligent men that worked together to build world government and to destroy nations and destroy people. And he said it was a masterful plan. He says, I was marveling at their genius. And he felt like there were people in the world today, many of the people that today are extremely wealthy. People have as much wealth as a nation, okay, and maybe even more. Unbelievable wealth. And he says, we're not talking about people like Bill Gates and stuff like that. We're talking people far more wealthy than that. He says many of those are actually hybrids or fallen angels or thereabouts, and they are seeking to rule the world. They're seeking to bring in a world government, world peace, if you would call it.
That's correct. Fallen angels tend not to try to bring notoriety to themselves because they've been here for eons among us.
The devil is the most subtle beast of the field, the serpent was. So, yeah.
That's right. And
you
if they're
prefer
going
to stay hidden, yeah.
You know, if they're going to survive, they can't bring a whole lot of attention to themselves. Yes, the ruling elite of this world are probably hybrids or fallen angels. And we know from the book of Daniel that fallen angels rule this world. You know, we just all of a sudden in our minds, we think all fallen angels are in the spiritual realm. Whether not all, some have taken on human form, have left their first estate and have come into this world and have since remained in this world. We don't have any evidence that once they've made the trip over here and taken on human form that they can go back. It seems like it's only a one-way trip. It's never mentioned that they're able to go back. So these fallen angels are the true rulers of this world and are moving this world toward a one world government. They're the true power brokers. I've read about from presidents and quotes from presidents and people in high office that things that even in Washington seem to be out of their control and to be controlled by dark forces.
I know our first thought is, oh, well, it's a political person. I think a lot of these guys are really international bankers and international businessmen that run multiple companies, that have multiple banks. Don't you think?
Yeah, the political people are only figureheads. Puppets, yes.
Well, some people think that JFK was a guy that was really trying to do good, but was not going along with the people that were trying to pull his strings, and so he had to bite the dust.
That's very possible. There certainly has been a lot of conspiracy questions about what took place there. Something wasn't right. He was definitely anti-military industrial complex. He and Eisenhower both were very concerned that it was so large that they were beginning to pull the strings in the entire country.
Have you ever heard of Majestic 12?
I have. It was a group of men that were put together by the government to give an answer to the UFO question, what was going on.
Okay, now here's another question. It's hard to believe that these UFO, whatever from the sky you want to call them, whatever name that people want to attach to them, but I'm going to say something that is not true descendant of Adam, okay, if I can put it that way, like you and I. Okay, these people, some people believe that somewhere along the line, someone in a high position, like maybe the leader of the world, had to give these guys permission to come in and to abduct our people and to do these experiments on them. Or do you believe that it is all done without permission? Do you think that somebody gave them permission, or it's done without permission?
Oh, I have no question that these entities, fallen angels, demonic beings, are working in conjunction with the governments of this world. I think my opinion is the governments of this world probably aren't sure who they're working with. They probably are deluded thinking that they are from other worlds when in fact they're just from a different dimension. But the thing that fallen angels have always tempted mankind with, if we go back to the book of Enoch, and like I said, I'm impressed with this historicity, is that Fallen angels gave to mankind technology, weapons of war, and so forth. And I'm sure today that is the carrot that they have been dabbling in front of the governments of the world.
Well, what I had heard was that they had gone to, I believe it was Eisenhower. It could have been Truman. I forget which one it was. And basically, this whole Majestic 12 thing I was asking about, they had made an agreement that they would give high technology and secret weapons to our government if we would give them, in turn, permission to abduct and to do innocent experiments on people.
I have heard that. I can't confirm the validity of it, but I have certainly heard that. There's a lot of smoke where some of this stuff is concerned, like the crash at Roswell seems to have some validity to it. Certainly a lot of smoke around it. Underground bases, this type of thing, there's a lot of talk, a lot of smoke. There are people that swear to it. There are other people that claim they can't find it. I don't know the ins and outs of some of those details, but in a broad term of things, a scope of things, yes, the governments of this world are working with fallen angels, trying to create several things. I think technology is the carrot. I think they're also involved in trying to create a super soldier. There are thousands of North Koreans that were lined up during the procession, and the Associated Press took a picture. And in this picture, there was a North Korean who was probably 10 feet tall. He was twice the height of any other North Korean standing by him. So I tend to think that maybe this was a hybrid that just got caught in a picture when he wasn't supposed to. And if you think about North Korea having something like this and something like this going on, you know certainly other countries like ourselves have had this going on for quite some time.
Well, let me give you what the Bible says about super soldiers. Joel 2:4, the appearance of them is as the appearance of horses and as horsemen. Now, okay, hold on. We understand what a person on a horse is, but what is a horseman? Is that a hybrid? Is that a half man, half horse? Okay, let me go on. So shall they run. Like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap. Like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array, as in a new world order, end time super soldier, okay? Before their face shall be much pained. All faces shall gather blackness. I believe that is saying that this is dating this back to Ezekiel 30, verse 26. When the sun gets 7 times hotter, it causes everyone's face and all of their skin to turn black from something, okay? Verse 7. They shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war. And they shall march, every one on his own ways. In other words, they do what they are told to do. And they shall not break their ranks. That's military. Neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk every one in his path. And now listen to this. This is your New World Order, end time, world government super soldier. And when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. Hold on. I believe that is saying that they either have some kind of a skin or a coating on their skin that a sword will not penetrate, or the sword penetrates them, but they pull it out and they are instantly healed. Now, I tend to believe the second of the two, though we do know that there are experiments where they're trying to meld spider web with human skin. Okay, they're trying to work to come up with this super soldier, this invincible Superman type guy. However, since those people that get the sting from that varmint that comes out of the earth sting men for 5 months like a scorpion, and they desire to die, but death flees from them, I suspect that along with the mark of the beast, they also offer them an injection, and they will tell people that this injection will correct your DNA, take your cell date all the way back to year 0, and give you eternal life. And that's the reason they desire to die, but they cannot die. Now let's continue. Verse 9, they shall run to and fro in the city. They shall run upon the wall. They shall climb upon the houses. They shall enter in at the windows like a thief. That is your end-time soldier. What do you think?
I agree. I think that's entirely right. I've read some of those things myself and thought the same thing.
Well, once again, C.K. Quarterman, I appreciate you being on the Prophecy Club. Look forward to having you speak at the Prophecy Club.
Thank you. We're looking forward to it as well.
All right, folks, once again, he's going to be speaking at the Prophecy Club. The promo here in just a moment will tell you the date, time, place, and all that location stuff. I encourage you to come on out. And in the meantime, thank you for listening. Thank you for your prayers. And thank you for your gifts of support. God bless.
Your faithful monthly gifts help the Prophecy Club to continue and overcome evil with the truth. Help us take the warning to America. Engage in the battle to win lost souls to Christ by supporting this ministry today.
Now from the Prophecy Club, some exciting opportunities for you. The next speaker at the Prophecy Club is C.K. Quarterman, speaking on Genesis Secrets in the End Times. C.K. is a published author. He is the author of Genesis Secrets Revealed and Fallen Angels, Giants, UFO Encounters in the New World Order. When he speaks, his topics will be what Elohim does next, ancient high technology, firmament and the sea of glass, sons of God and the Nephilim, Noah's genetic code, Stargates, and the Tower of Babel. Saturday, April 13th, 7 to 10:30. Then Fallen Angels, Giants, and UFOs and Prophecy. Topics will be End Times and Noah, Gap Creationism, Sons of God Mating Today, Giants Again, Unseen Elite Controllers, Genetics of the Antichrist, Origins of Demons, UFOs, Genesis to Revelation, the New World Order Plan, and that's Sunday, April the 14th, 9:30 to noon at the Prophecy Club, 2540 Avenue K in Plano. That's on the corner of Park and K behind the Whataburger. Saturday, April 13th, 7 p.m., Sunday, April 14th at 9:30 a.m. See you there! Some of you know that each Hebrew letter represents a number, a picture, sound, and color. But probably what you don't know is it also contains a code which finally unseals the prophecies of Daniel. In his new Prophecy Club DVD, Hebrew, the Rainbow Language, David Matthews will show you how to use the code to finally unseal Daniel and the rest of the Bible. Prophet Stephen Hansen has given over 1,200 amazing national prophecies, and in his new DVD, Divisions Leading to the Internal Revolution, either by vision or audible voice, Steve tells you what God has shown him about fires in New York City, the invasion of America, the New Madrid fault line, Texas separated and parts are underwater, and what will happen in 2013. Each DVD valued at $30, get both for a gift of just $45. Order at 785-266-1112 or prophecyclub.com. The February gift offer is Angels at Work. Prophet Leslie tells of many examples in her life in which the Lord set forth his angels to bring back lost items, keep her loved ones out of harm's way, and comforted her in difficult times and directed her footsteps. You will learn how to call on ministering spirits in time of need. Be uplifted, encouraged, and build your faith. In True or False Prophecies, also by Prophet Leslie, she helps you to recognize the lies and false information that can lead you away from the truth. Topics are: recognize a true or false prophecy or prophet, receive the best blessings, receive a double blessing, recognize the anointing for the spirit of prophecy. Then, Will You Survive America's Fall by Doug Metzger is talking about how he had a very radical salvation and God began to immediately give him visions. He shares 16 visions of America's future, and he was shown how unspeakable torment is coming to America to turn us back to God. Topics are: America the Fallen Tree, vision of how the church was formed, vision of a nuclear missile, 12 cities destroyed, a million voices screaming, 2 explosions, 10-to-1 inflation, dollar becomes worthless, the begging woman and the turnstile, the great betrayal, only prayer is protection, and the greatest horror and revival at the same time. Angels at Work, $20. True or False Prophecies, $30. Will You Survive America's Fall, $30. 3 DVDs valued at $80 for a gift of just $45. It's the February gift offer, available at prophecyclub.com or calling 785-266-1112.